Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. We're from Group 7, and in this video, we're going to talk about teaching writing in method of English teaching. So we have four members in this group. The first one is Dara Aulianisa, Sifafti Karina, Inaya Cahya, and me, Alisa Farasa. Okay, now these are materials that we're going to talk about and discuss in this video. The first one is about definition of writing. The second is importance of teaching English. And the third, objective of teaching writing. The four types of writing. And five, writing process, principle for designing writing techniques, classroom activities, challenges in teaching writing, strategies to improve writing, and the 10 is conclusion of these materials. Okay, so now we're going to talk about definition of writing. And writing is a process of expressing ideas, thoughts, and feelings in written form. And it is both a physical activity, putting words on paper or screen, and a mental activity to organizing meaning. Writing helps learners communicate clearly and accurately. And in language learning, writing supports grammar, vocabulary, and critical thinking development. And this is writing, so it's a very important activity when you want to express ideas. It actually helps you to express or organize your thoughts, so it gets more organized in writings. And the next is concept of writing. These are elements that need to be remembered when you want to write something. Okay, the first one is writing involves several stages. The first one is planning. There are drafting, revising, editing, publishing, or finalizing. And so when we do the writing, it's not just we're do it without any planning. So we have purpose when we want to do the writing. When we want to express our thoughts, ideas. So it has need to get into several stages like this. And the next one is good writing develops through continuous improvement, not in one step. And here's teachers should guide students during each stage. So teacher has a role in the guiding writing for students. They can give a suggestion to students uh, when they want to improve their writing. The next one is importance of teaching writing. Writing improves overall language proficiency, and it strengthens grammar, vocabulary, and sentence organization. And students learn to communicate ideas effectively. And it's also writing encourages creativity and critical thinking. It prepares learners for academic and professional needs. And these are the reason why we need to learn writing, and it has importance role when we want to teach students to do the writing. So it has a purpose of it. And the next material, it's about objectives of teaching writing, and this part is going to be explained by my friend Dara Aulia.
Thank you, Alisa, for your presentation. So now, moving on, I'll be covering two main points: the objectives of teaching writing and the types of writing itself. Let's get started. Okay guys, for the first, let's talk about why we teach writing in the first place. Teaching writing is not just about asking students to put words on the paper. It has several important objectives. For the first objective is to develop communication skills. Writing teaches students how to convey their ideas and message clearly to a reader, which is a skill they use for the rest of their lives. And then the second one is self-expression. Writing gives students a space to express their thoughts and feelings, especially for those who find it difficult to speak up in class. Through writing, they can find their own voice. And then the third is teaching writing helps build linguistic competence. This includes organizing ideas coherently, using the right vocabulary, applying grammar correctly, and making sure the text flows well from one sentence to another sentence. And then the last, writing prepares students for academic and professional contexts. Whether it's writing essays, reports, emails, or even proposal in the future. So, in short, teaching writing is really about equipping students with the tools to think clearly, communicate effectively, and succeed both inside and outside the classroom. Now that we have covered the objectives, let me move on to the types of writing, because knowing the purpose of each type is just as important for both teachers and students. There are 5 main types of writing that are commonly taught. The first is narrative writing. As the name suggests, this type tells a story. It could be fiction or non-fiction. It involves characters, a plot, conflict, and a point of view. Examples include short stories, novels, or even personal diaries. Next is descriptive writing. This one focuses on painting a picture with words. The writer describes a person, place, or object in vivid detail using sensory language, what it looks like, sounds like, feels like. Think of travel writing or character profiles. And the third is expository writing. This type is all about informing and explaining. Its objective, fact-based, and doesn't include personal opinion. You'll find this in encyclopedia articles or scientific reports. And then we have persuasive writing, which aims to convince the reader to agree with a viewpoint or take action. Writers use logic, credibility, and emotional appeal to make their argument. Examples are editorials, advertisement, or opinion letters. And the last one is argumentative writing. This is similar to persuasive, but it presents both sides of an issue before making a claim. It's evidence-based and commonly used in academic essays or writing debates. Each type has its own purpose and structure, and as language teachers, it's important for us to expose students to all of this so they can develop a well-rounded writing ability. So, to wrap up my part, teaching writing goes beyond grammar and vocabulary. It's about helping students communicate, express themselves, and think critically. And by understanding the different types of writing, both teachers and students can approach writing tasks more purposefully. And now, let's move to our presenter.
Okay, thank you Dara for your explanation. So now we move to the writing process. So writing process or writing progress refers to the development of writing from the first idea until the final version. The process usually begins with brainstorming and organizing the ideas before moving to the drafting, editing, and revising the text. And in these stages, writers need to improve the vocabulary, grammar, structure, and clarity of the text. And feedback, also revision, are also important because they help to organize the text and make it coherent and efficient. First is pre-writing process. In pre-writing process, writers can generate and organize the ideas through brainstorming. Brainstorming is to help them collecting and organize the ideas before writing, also skimming and scanning to help them identify the main ideas and find a specific information quickly. And the last is discussing topic. So discussing topic is to help them exchange the ideas, also create a new perspective and understanding from the writing. After we make the pre-writing process, we can move to the revising, editing, and finally the final draft of the writing. So what is the text revising? So text revising is focused on improving the organization and the clarity of the text. And next is editing. It helps writers to correct the grammar, the structure, the spelling, the pronunciation, and vocabulary mistakes from the text. And finally, the final draft is the complete version after all revision and editing are made. Next is principle for designing writing technique. So these activities explain on how teachers should create an effective learning situation for writing to help students improve their writing skill. So these activities not only to improve the technique but also teachers need to consider the student abilities and classroom goals and also classroom needs from the writing process. And this writing process or principle for design and writing technique is to help students encourage their creativity, also practice communication to express the ideas so students can improve their writing skill and learn on how to make a writing process effectively. So what insight of principle for designing writing technique? So first is teachers need to incorporate practice of good writers, and second is need to balance process and product. The third is consider student cultural or literary background, such as student with low vocabulary knowledge or any other problem that causing the lack of student abilities. Next is connect reading and writing, and reading can help students to improve their vocabulary and understanding of writing styles. Next is provide authentic writing activities, and the last is using the pre-writing, drafting, and revising stages such as brainstorming and skimming and scanning, also editing the text to make the text is coherent. So after explain about the writing process and the principle of writing development, now we move to the classroom activities. So classroom activities in teaching writing are designed to help students practice and improve their writing skill through various learning tasks in the class. These activities help to encourage students from developing their main ideas and also can help students to improve their vocabulary knowledge through the different types of writing exercise. Students can gradually build confidence and improve their ability to communicate ideas effectively in written or in written form. Okay, in classroom activities, maybe teachers can use these activities that I explained. So the first is imitative or writing down. These activities is to encourage students copy letters, words, or sentence to practice spelling, pronunciation, and basic writing forms. So next is intensive or controlled writing. So these activities is make students practice grammar and writing structure through guided by the teachers and control writing exercise. So next is self-writing, or students write about their own ideas, feelings, or personal experience independently. And then next is display writing. On display writing, students write to demonstrate knowledge such as essay, reports, and classroom assignment. So the last is real writing such as academic writing. So students write for real communication purpose in academic or everyday context. Okay, for the next explanation will be explained by Inaya.
Okay, hello everyone. Now let's move into the next slide. The next slide will talk about the challenge in teaching writing. As you know, when we teach something, it's always have their own challenge, also the writing. So when you teach writing, there are several challenges. The first is about the fluency and accuracy. The second is about the communicative purpose. The next is about learner inhibition and anxiety. And the last is about syllabus and sequencing. Okay, now let's start by looking at why teaching writing is not simple as it sounds. First, guys, many traditional methods like audiolingual methods, it's almost entirely on speaking and listening. So the method is almost focused on speaking, on listening, and then writing was treated as something like secondary. So students only wrote what they already practiced out loud, then writing never really got the attention it deserved. And the next is about the communicative purpose. So guys, when writing was tough, it was often just mechanical exercise. Like you translating the sentences or you're filling the grammar patterns. There was no real purpose to it, no connection to actual communication. And the third is about learner inhibition and anxiety. So guys, writing requires a relaxed mindset. When student feels anxiety or pressure, they will freeze up, right? Research by Crescent show that stress literally blocks language learning. And this hits writing especially hard because writing feels more exposed and permanent than speaking. And yeah, finally, the last challenge is about syllabus and sequencing. So guys, most teaching methods didn't even have a clear plan for writing. There was no step-by-step writing syllabus, which made it very hard for teachers to know what to teach, how, and when. And yeah, after we know the problems, the next slide we'll talk about strategies to improve writing. So now let's talk about what actually works after we talk about the problems. There's several strategies also, guys. The first is about to give students real writing tasks with real purpose, like writing a letter and then writing an essay, article, or something like that. Why? Because when writing feels meaningful, students engage more deeply. And the next strategy is about focus on the writing process, not just the final product. It means the drafting or getting feedback from peers and revising is not about getting it perfect the first time. It's about growing through the processes. The strategy 3 is to lower anxiety at class. Because why? When teachers delay heavy correction, give encouraging feedback, and create a safe classroom atmosphere, students feel confident enough to write. And next, strategy 4 is to expose students to lots of good written text first, like story, article, examples. So before you ask them to produce their own, you cannot write well what you've never seen, right? And then strategy 5 is to connect writing with what students already know orally. So if a student can say something confidently, they can learn to write it too, like build on what they know. And the last strategy is to let students write about things that matter to them. So when learners choose their own topic, their motivation will go up, and so does the quality of their writing. So what the big takeaway from all of this? What is the conclusion? The first one, the conclusion is about the context matters, guys. So writing should never be an isolated grammar exercise. It needs to be connected to real communication, real situation, and real purposes. And number 2, the conclusion is about how students feel matters just as much as what they know. If they're anxious, they won't write well. So you should create a safe, a supportive classroom. It is not the optional, it's essential. And number 3, there's no perfect single method because different approach over different tools. So the best teachers are flexible. You should pick and combine strategies based on what their student actually need. In short, teaching writing with purpose, lower the pressure, and stay flexible, that's the message from Richard and Rogers. And it's still very relevant today. Okay, so guys, that's all from our presentation. Sorry if we had a mistake, and thank you for your give attention, and see you.